Right friends, welcome back to Capsule-8. This is on cereals and pulses. All of you are well aware cereals are a rich source of carbohydrates and pulses are a rich source of proteins, and in recent times the consumption of cereals is coming down, and for pulses there is not sufficient availability in the country. So a peculiar situation arose in this country. The consumption of cereals is coming down, and for pulses the rates increased. Per kg of pulses almost touched rupees 200, and at the same time sufficient quantity is not available in this country. So we are going to deliberate on these two issues. If you look at the cereals, you may ask what is meant by cereals. That is wheat, rice, maize. These are all examples of cereals. And this maize, bajra, jawar, these are examples of coarse cereals. And if you look at the statistics of 1970 and 2000, and some of the information is taken from an article written by the officials of Niti Aayog in their personal capacity, which appeared in The Hindu. And if you look at the availability of cereals, in the year 1970, the per capita availability was 145 kg, and in the year 2000, it increased to 158 kg. So per capita availability of pulses increased during 30 years period from 1970 to 2000 in spite of population explosion during that period. That means the cereals production increased substantially during 1970 to 2000, and this is one part of the story. And if you look at the consumption of cereals, unfortunately the consumption of cereals reduced during 18 years from 1994 to 2012. If you look at 1994, the per capita consumption of cereals was 155 kg and now came down to 129 kg per capita within 18 years. That means the dietary habits are changing and the preference is not in favor of cereals. And due to the surplus quantity of cereals, India is exporting on an average around 9 million tons of cereals every year since 2000. So there is no problem as far as the cereals is concerned. And if you look at the overall dietary intake as far as kilocalories are concerned, we have comparison for 18 years. If you look at rural India, 1994 to 2012, the dietary intake came down from 2153 kilocalories to 2099 kilocalories. There is marginal reduction. And if you look at urban India, in 18 years it came down from 2071 kilocalories to 2058 kilocalories. And as per the norms prescribed for Indian population, the per capita requirement of energy is estimated as 2200 kilocalories per day and protein as 60 grams per day. Because of the less consumption of cereals, the dietary intake in kilocalories came down a little bit during 18-year period from 1994 to 2012. And let us come back to pulses. The real problem is here. You may ask, what are the pulses? All of you are familiar with tur dal, moong dal and urad dal. These are examples of pulses. And in the year 1965, the per capita production of pulses was 18.5 kg and came down to 15 kg in 2014. That means during 50-year period, the pulses production per capita came down from 18.5 kg to 15 kg. So the pulses production is not in tune with the growing population, and we have taken care of increase in production of cereals but not the pulses. And our present production is around 17 million tons. Our requirement is around 22 million tons. Present intake is 42 grams per capita per day, which is required to be increased to 60 grams per capita per day. And if you ask what are the problems faced on pulses front, with great difficulty we are able to procure pulses to the tune of 5 million tons from 46 countries. and import bill on pulses front is coming to around $4 billion. Please don't forget, we are importing around 30% of our requirement in pulses by spending $4 billion of precious foreign exchange. And if you look at the edible oils, we are procuring almost 70% of our requirements through imports by spending around $10 billion. These things, please don't forget. Another important aspect is the preference for consumption of pulses is rising in general in developed and developing countries, and hence it may be difficult to procure them in future. And here the other option is supporting farmers in underdeveloped countries with high quality seeds and other inputs. And you may ask a pertinent question, why pulses production is not increasing in our country? First and the fundamental point is farmers are more inclined to cultivate cereals like wheat and rice, and government's policies also through green revolution supported fundamentally increasing the production of wheat and rice to some extent, but not pulses. And the important reasons I have listed out here for not increasing pulses production in our country: these are grown by farmers mostly in rain-fed areas, these are grown by farmers only when no other options are available, the productivity per acre is low, and no efforts were made to develop high-yielding varieties. High-yielding varieties gave rich dividends in crops like wheat, but not in pulses. And here not much research was done on pulses front, and policy support through government interventions is not much in India for pulses. And recently, Government of India came up with a 5-year roadmap to hike production of pulses. The government's roadmap is to increase production of pulses to 24 million tons by 2021, but it is not that easy to achieve that target. And the salient features we have previously discussed, and these things are available in this slide. Please go through them. Setting up of 150 seed hubs across the country by ICAR in the next 3 years, then distribution of seed mini kits, then providing incentives to seed growers, strengthening biofertilizers, demonstration of improved crop production techniques. So this is the mechanism which was put in place by central government recently to increase production of pulses to 24 million tons by 2021. And finally, what needs to be done to solve pulses problem? First and the foremost is African countries have better agroclimatic conditions for growing pulses, and Indian farmers should be encouraged to work with farmers in African countries, and government should formulate long-term purchase contracts. Recently, government formulated a contract with Mozambique, and government is trying to formulate contracts with countries like Malawi and Asian country Myanmar. Then increase the productivity of pulses with more research and development, and with the development of high yielding varieties. The third important point is mindset of the farmers to be changed for cultivating pulses instead of cereal crops. Then policy interventions by the governments, that is both center and state governments, to support the farmers cultivating pulses. Then another important and the last point is nutrition security should become the main theme of food security, as the country's substantial population depends on vegetarian diet, and nutritional intake with the pulses cannot be underestimated. Right friends, let us conclude the capsule number 8. Please do join for other modules. Have a nice day. Thank you.